Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Runway expansion issues forces temporary closure of Sangster International Airport. Woefully inadequate. Opposition wants increase in Constituency Development Fund. And later in sports, Jamaica under-15 reggae boys play Honduras in quarterfinal of CONCACAF Championship. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. We begin this afternoon with a major developing story. There has been a temporary closure of the runway at the Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay, St. James. Senior strategist in the Tourism Ministry, Delano Seavright, is urging the travelling public to monitor the respective websites of their airlines while the situation is dealt with.
There is already likely to be some diversions to Kingston, some flights diverting to Kingston, and there may very well be some cancellations. But for now, we ask everyone to monitor their flight status in and out of Montego Bay, and we hope to get a clearer picture within the next 2 to 3 hours.
But what is the cause of the runway closure?
We're told that the extension of the runway project is continuing in earnest, but there was a major difficulty that developed over the last few hours. We're told that the Airports Authority of Jamaica, MBJ Airports Limited, and the contractor are working feverishly to address the problem. The problem now is that the runway is essentially inoperable, and we are waiting an update in the next 2 to 3 hours from the authorities.
Now, we also understand several flights have had to be diverted from the Sangster International Airport to Norman Manor International Airport in Kingston. As a result, some flights have also been diverted to Cuba. The authorities are urging calm among travelers and say teams have been dispatched to both airports to help with the movement and processing of travelers. Now, we will continue to monitor this major developing story and we'll have more in subsequent newscasts. Now, TVJ News also contacted the president of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, JHTA, Robin Russell, to get an idea of the impact on the hotel sector so far.
We're still trying to get the information as to how long the airport will be down so that we can make arrangements. But I know that right now, some flights were diverted to Kingston and the ground transportation, JTB, and all the other personnel that would be involved in trying to get these people down have been mobilized. So far, it's very touch and go because we're not sure what exactly is the extent of the shutdown.
Okay, have you heard about any cancellations so far?
Like I said, we're still waiting to be updated onto the extent of all of that. So no, we haven't gotten any details as to whether there will be cancellations or just delays.
And the Transport Minister, Darrell Vaz, says normalcy is expected to return to the Sangster International Airport by 1:30 p.m. today. Minister Vaz says plans are in place to reduce the inconvenience to passengers who were forced to disembark at the Norman Manor International Airport in Kingston, as well as those with connected flights.
The Civil Aviation Authority has notified the airlines that 1:30 is the timeline that we're working on to have the airport reopened. In the meantime, the airport stakeholders and the tourism stakeholders are working in relation to those passengers that landed at Norman Manley who have been cleared through customs and immigration will not have to do the same on re-enter in Montego Bay if they do so by plane. There are some planes that passengers have not deplaned, waiting to go back to Montego Bay. So I'm hopeful for a 1:30 return.
In other stories, one member of parliament is lamenting that the $20 million Constituency Development Fund CDF yearly allocation is woefully inadequate. Kerry-Ann Simpson explains.
It's not the first time a member of the parliamentary opposition is calling for the money allocated to each member of parliament to spend in their constituency to be increased from $20 million. In 2019, it was suggested that the CDF be moved from $20 million to about $50 million. The Constituency Development Fund, CDF, provides funding to MPs for development and assistance within their constituency. But for Member of Parliament for Southwestern St. Andrew, Angela Brownberg, the demand outweighs the supply.
The truth is that it is not nearly enough for the demands of the citizens. You know, if you look at education, it's not nearly enough. And for communities like the ones that I have here, so many of them require assistance, financial assistance, whether it is that they are at tertiary. Right now, 25% of the CDF, $5 million, that is put for education. And it's, believe you me, it is woefully inadequate.
She says it becomes a strain in trying to make a meaningful contribution to the people, and as such, she has implemented alternatives.
There are persons who have volunteered and offered to help fund for students. So I just believe that we have to do more of that. We have to, whatever programs are there, I send the persons to those programs as well that I see, whether it is online or elsewhere. But I think that one of it is to actually reach out to some of our corporate neighbors to see if they can assist.
And Mrs. Brownberg says a review of the makeup of the CDF needs to be reviewed.
I'd like to see an increase in CDF allocation. I'd like to appeal to the government to increase the allocation that is being given. I also believe that there are some of the allocations that need to look at the socio-economic makeup of the various constituencies in terms of that.
Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark recently announced that members of Parliament will get $3 million each to help constituents offset back-to-school expenses. Kerry-Ann Simpson, TVJ News.
The search is on for land for a new cemetery in Clarendon. It comes after news that the authorities are no longer will be accepting burial applications at one of the largest cemeteries in the parish. Anthony Lugg has the details.
This is an aerial view of the Denby Cemetery in Clarendon. The cemetery, which is one of the largest in the parish, is said to be near its capacity. Chairman of the Clarendon Municipal Corporation, Winston Mirage, says burial application for the location has been discontinued.
However, there are some churches and some citizens who did pay for reserved spots for many years now, and so we do have those spots that are left available for those people.
The latest development has forced residents to seek alternative burial grounds, and in some cases, relatives have resorted to home burials. Persons are being warned, however, that the requisite approvals must be given. But with what appears to be a shortage of burial spaces in the parish, what does this mean?
We still are asking persons to come in and talk to us, and we'll advise them as to the next step.
In the meantime, Mr. Mirage is insisting the authorities are actively searching for land suitable for cemeteries in the parish.
We do have some areas that we have been looking at over the years, and we're going through the processes which involve NEPA, of course, and the Water Resources Authority. So it's really a process in identifying suitable lands for cemeteries.
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
Steps are to be taken by the St. James Municipal Corporation to correct a number of breaches which have been identified in the parish capital, Montego Bay. Among the measures, charging business operators who continue to improperly dispose waste, which in turn blocks drains and gullies in the parish. Deputy Mayor Richard Vernon outlined the measures following a tour of the town centre on Wednesday, with other key stakeholders to include the National Solid Waste Management Authority and the police. Mr. Vernon says some of the other breaches identified are debris from the construction of buildings, wastewater systems leading to the roadways, and vendors leaving produce overnight on their stalls.
We are not here to just look at them. By the end of this week into next week, we are going to devise our plan and we're going to start enforcing. We're going to take some serious action right across the length and breadth of the downtown area especially. So we're going to head into a meeting now and we are going to do a review and to see how best, as a joint up government approach, we can come up with some solutions to add to what I said earlier, the actions that we're about to take.
The deputy mayor says a technical working group will also be established to continue the work going forward. A 39-year-old woman who went missing from St. Thomas on Sunday, August 6, was found dead in bushes on Wednesday. Titsi Bonnie, better known as Munchie, had reportedly left home to get her nails done, and when she did not return Sunday night, her family filed a missing persons report. However, when they didn't see anything materializing from the police, family and friends joined forces and began a search along the seaside through Cow Bay and into 14 Mile St. Thomas. A relative spoke to us off camera.
I go to them and I say, we're not up on the right side. We need to head back to 14 Mile side. So we are going to take Cow Bay, search Cow Bay and come down. So we take the seaside. We talk to the fisherman there and tell them, say, in the meantime, if we don't see any drunk or anything a fly in the smell, just give me a call or the police.
He said he urged the family to look at more abandoned areas, and that's where they made the discovery in Grandspen Heights.
So we walk around, we make a stop and look down in our bush like over there. So but my sister tired, I not see no walk, we are going there. So I said, no interest not there, so we go down in there. So go around now, she said, see a cold skill bed there, so somebody a bun cold there. So I say, yeah. By the time she said that, I look there, so I see a little footstep, a little ditch, and I see the footstep them. So when I go so now, I make the footstep and look over in there. That's what I see. So when the man come now, then find a carrot or stuff down she by the pan in the other side of the road. So that's how now we realize for sure. Because them I say it don't look like she. Because the foot looks so brown, but me I say, remember, after Sunday the body decompose. So she can't look the same way.
And it's now time for the Business Minute. Here's Hal Shane Burke.
NCB Financial Group recorded a drop in profit for its third quarter ended June. For the 3-month period, the group made $7.4 billion compared with $10.59 billion last year. The quarter's performance brought NCBFG's 9-month post-tax earnings to $13.7 billion. The group's operating income amounted to $35.6 billion. That's a marginal decline versus the $36.28 billion last year. NCB Financial says improvements were made in investment activities in wealth, asset management, and the investment banking segment. Foreign exchange gains improved by 162%. Despite the company's profit, NCBFG's Board of Governors, which met on August 9, decided not to declare dividend for another quarter. A decision which has sparked concern among investors as the last dividend payment was in May 2021. In the past few weeks, NCB Financial Group has been in the spotlight with Chairman Michael Lee Chin cutting his leave short and major management changes being implemented. Further afield, current oil production in the U.S. could shatter the all-time record set 4 years ago. Government estimates released Tuesday project American oil output could hit an average of 12.8 million barrels per day this year for the first time ever. That's about 500,000 barrels per day more than the annual record set in 2019. If that's not enough, next year they say U.S. oil output is projected to climb to 13.1 million barrels per day. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Hal Shane Burke.
And the time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, public consultations on new electoral reforms in Dominica are set to begin on August 14. The consultations are set to begin 2 months after Sir Dennis Barron submitted his final report on electoral reforms to Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. The first consultation is scheduled to take place at the State House Conference Center for members of the legal fraternity. A session on August 15 will be for representatives of political parties and independent candidates. Public sessions will follow those two closed meetings. On the international scene, the death toll from deadly wildfires sweeping across Hawaii has risen to 36. Officials say hundreds, if not thousands more people have been displaced. Several hospitals are also overwhelmed with patients suffering burns and smoke inhalation. Hawaii has declared a state of emergency. And 6 people are now under arrest in Ecuador following the assassination of a presidential candidate. Fernando Villavicencio was gunned down on Wednesday at a campaign event. The suspected shooter died in police custody after exchanging fire with officers. The killing was caught on video. It's reported that the attack happened right after the presidential candidate finished a rally at a school in the country's capital. A burst of gunfire was heard as he was getting into a waiting vehicle. Ecuador's presidential elections are to be held in less than 2 weeks on August 20th. And those are the top regional and international stories. I'm Carrie Simpson.
Thanks, Carrie. And we head to a quick break. When we come back, Spencer Darlington will have your midday sports report.